Hey, everybody, welcome in. My name's Jim Diedlow. We've entered into the community programming initiative portion of our morning, and that's when you buy a little show and we talk about what you're doing in your business, your government, whatever it might be. I think, next is hospice. But we have Adriana has taken it to another level, and this actually gets podcasted. And so you would go to Apple, Spotify, even YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. And we are live on YouTube now. So if you want to watch us, all you got to do is go to WJOB 1230 and you'll be able to watch us. And this portion is sponsored by Calumet Painting and Restoration. And Ricardo is the owner and former fireman and now radio personality that hosts this show.
Yep. You guys were just talking about 24/7. I did a lot of 24/7s at the firehouse. Someone's always there. Christmas, you think about any time of the day, there's always someone at the firehouse. So just giving them out a shout out to the boys.
You don't think about that, but you're waking up on Christmas morning, or you're going to Thanksgiving, and a lot of times there's that empty seat across the table. If it's a fireman, or it's a steel worker, a refinery worker, a policeman, that kind of stuff. You don't stop.
All the essential stuff, it's always moving behind the scenes, So just like throwing them, and the police officers also, while we're thinking about it, they're always out there on the street,
This former fireman, I use that term loosely. I mean, typically when you're a fireman like that for your whole life, you kind of consider yourself still a fireman. Same
absolutely.
thing as a Marine or like we had one guy. He says, I've been in the union 51 years. Yeah, but you stopped working 21 years ago. Yeah. Well, I'm still a steel worker. Yeah. Same thing with firemen.
Yeah. Yeah, you read a paper recently. Fireman was lost up in Chicago at a fire. You just kind of. You take a step back and think about, all your boys that you work with. So
can we look at that one for a second before we talk about Calumet Painting and Restoration?
Sure.
I mean, that one is specifically a very difficult situation in Chicago, and that a person who was mentally ill at times was starting fires, and the evidence so far projects that it may have been started intentionally, and then the fireman was lost, and he and his family lose their dad over an intentionally set fire. It's like your biggest nightmare, man.
And then it's unfortunate. I know the inspectors and stuff do a really good job of tracking that kind of stuff down. The inspectors that come in, whether it be the fire marshal or whoever, but they do a real good job typically of catching those guys. They always leave some kind of mark behind it they can trace back, but it's very unfortunate. It's hard enough to fight fire that's set accidentally. There's enough of those going around without people going around and starting stuff on purpose. So
Calumet Painting and Restoration. You started while you were a fireman, right?
I was, and actually that helped my business a lot because I had people. I learned early on that I was going to be in the firehouse, doing estimates or whatever. But my guys were out performing their work with my customers, or our customers, I should say. And so it helped me dwindle and weed out the guys that could not think on their feet on their own and make decisions on their own and represent our company the way I wanted it to be done. And eventually I just ended up with guys I've had guys that have worked with me for 30 years, 32 years actually. I have several people that have said they're long-term employees, long-term painters. That's really what they know how to do. So it was fortunate for me. A lot of times I think if I had started my business, outside of the fire department and I had time to sit in the office, I don't know if I'd have been as good as weeding them guys out as I was being in the firehouse, because they had no choice, They had to think on their own since I wasn't there. So it really helped me out, helped my business out. And I think that's one of the reasons that we've been successful and been voted the best painter in the region 4 years in a row, by the way. It's all my employees, Scott. I'm just the guy in the background. Nobody listens to me anyway at the office, but I do. Every now and then they listen to me, but not often. But I leave my guys alone. I just go in there, I figure it one way, or my salespeople figure jobs a certain way, and I'm sure people that own companies kind of understand this. In construction, everybody's got their kind of idea how the things need to get done, and I just let them. I don't micromanage them. I let them just do what they're supposed to do, as long as the customer's happy at the end. And I got the result, and the customer got the result that we had promised, and I'm good with it. So very fortunate that way to have really, really good employees.
Certainly it's sponsored by Calumet Painting and Restoration, and we will definitely talk about that, what time of year it is, and painting your outdoors and so forth. But I'm just curious. You and I are similar. Maybe you're larger with more employees, but there's an ebb and a flow to the available talent out there. And I got to tell you, right now, it seems like there's a decent amount of people. I mean, when we first started this 2-3 years ago, I remember you were like, "Man, I can't get that. I can't get
anybody."
And then all of a sudden, it seems like the market has tightened for people looking for work. Are you seeing the same
definitely
thing?
a better pool of people. There was right after COVID, it was like you just like if somebody was breathing, you almost wanted to hire. You almost wanted to hire them if you needed more people. It's kind of funny. When COVID first hit, I belong to the network of contractors and stuff, and they're really smart people. They're doing $25 million a year, big companies. And they. We were on a Zoom meeting, and they were like panicking. We're going to cut our projected income, 30%. And I'm thinking, it's like the world ended or something, And then all of a sudden, it's like the light switch, like in the middle of April. That hit like in March. By the end of April, around there, it just went the complete opposite. Like all of a sudden, the phone just would never stop ringing at the office
because everybody's home and they want their house painted, especially. And if you remember, it was kind of a nice weather summer.
Yeah,
it wasn't real wet, and it wasn't that windy, and it was like a lot of. I mean, I got out almost every day and played golf, and it was a beautiful thing.
It was really, really, but it was amazing that I thought to myself, it's a good lesson to for me personally, like to not panic when things happen like that. That it's easy to panic when you own a company because you're trying to make payroll and keep your guys. You
go to bed at night thinking, "What's the worst thing can happen?" And then that's what you dream about all
night.
Right?
You know the feeling, yeah. I would wake up thinking that we went to the wrong house and painted the wrong house a lot of times, and I would go, and then
I mean, like a doctor amputating
the wrong leg.
They have the wrong.
Yeah. And so because I wasn't there when they started the paint job, but. It taught me maybe to step back a second, but it would have been really, really hard, and I'm sure maybe somebody did predict that it was going to be as robust as an economy that came out of that thing, I know in certain sectors, I should say, because the restaurants and all those businesses like that you had to go face-to-face. Remember, they're all shut down. They were shut down for...
A lot of them didn't come back. Long-time restaurants and long-time... entertainment venues and that kind of thing. They're just like, man, we can't wait 2 years for people to come back.
Right, but if you're in the construction service industry, it was like lights out. It was I've never seen it before, and I don't know if we ever will see as much work that came through that first year. Was just amazing, unbelievable. And then that's when I realized there was nobody out to hire. You couldn't hire nobody. So we ended up. And I think a lot of other companies the same way. You could only do what you could do. You couldn't promise stuff you couldn't get to. I remember that first year we took, I want to say, like $500,000 of work in from November when we got pulled back outside work, till the next summer. People waited for us to come there the next spring and paint their house. They waited almost 9 months, 10 months for us to paint their house. They didn't go anywhere else. They just waited for us. But we were fortunate that we didn't lose a lot of that work.
Well, they didn't have a lot of options.
That was the other thing. That was the other thing, yeah. There was no options. Exactly.
Well, the labor force, I mean, I know that people died during COVID, and I don't dismiss that, but, the government gave us some money, and we're like, well, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, let's start a TV network, and the Heartland Sports Network, which has grown exponentially, we wouldn't have built it without having that money come. But I do know that when we started it, we had some young guys that were really working really hard. But now the next level up from us
Yeah.
didn't have people, so they just raided us.
Started raiding you guys. Yeah.
So we
Right.
lost 3 people
Right.
to a Big Ten
Yeah.
and Barstool.
Right.
And then I'm like, all right, so it makes you change. All right, well, how am I going to keep
Yeah.
really good people through the
Right.
next level?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you learn, like you
Yeah.
said, you got
You
it.
learn.
It made
Yeah.
me think,
Yeah.
oh, geez,
Yeah.
why are people stealing my people? We
Yeah.
just lost one 2 weeks ago.
You
I go,
yeah.
why are they doing that?
Yeah.
Because there are certain niches and certain parts that they don't want to train everybody and get them all ready. They're just going to take yours.
Yeah, right. Like you're training people for the next step, like they're using this as a stepping stool, which, I mean, I never fault somebody if they can improve themselves. I've had a lot of people, like on my side, it's a little different. When I would hire people, like everybody's, has their own ambitions for themselves and their families and stuff. And a lot of guys, I bet you I got 15 to 20 people that run their own businesses that started with me. And then they decided, hey, Rick, I'm going to go out on my own. I'm going to do my own thing. I don't really want to work for anybody. I want to work for myself. Hey, God bless you, and go after it. I'm never going to knock nobody for doing that, and I just support them as much as I can. And
you might even throw them some work.
I do.
Some of the
exactly.
I know they
exactly where I was going with it. Yeah, because then painting is very hard to sub out. It's really hard. I sub very little of my work out because it's so personal to people that if you do sub it out, and it would only do it on the outside of a home. If I get swamped, I will, but there's only certain people I go to, and those are people that actually worked for me at one time, were my own employees, so I know what kind of work they do. So
it's just this discussion, obviously, when Rick comes on, we usually just talk specifically about home improvement and painting and bathrooms and that kind of thing. But it makes me think, Adriana, that I need to do a podcast with business owners like us. I mean, we're similar. We have all the same similar issues.
Wouldn't that
And
fall
can we-
underneath mastering local marketing?
What's that?
Wouldn't that fall a little under mastering local marketing?
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
And we
So
could
we gotta get
certainly
him
have
on.
his.
Gotta
But I
get him
think
on.
you have somebody call. So, all right, before we take the call, now's the time to paint your house.
absolutely.
I mean, the weather is actually tomorrow. I think it's supposed to be. If you're listening at another time,
it's supposed to be in the 60s.
Yeah, we're getting some
Yeah.
amazing spates of good weather. Are you able to start early this year? or no?
Well, you said now's the time to paint your house. I wouldn't say right now's the time to paint your house, but it's getting pretty close. Right now is the time to get us out there so that you can find out how much it's going to cost to paint your house so that you can get on our schedule. We've done all them home. We got one more home show coming this weekend out in Oak Lawn, but we've got a ton of leads that we've been chasing, and so our schedule's filling up, and so we start getting to where we're, 4, 5, 6 weeks out, and then so so if you want to kind of
Where's the cutoff? When you go, hey, we can't get to you for 8 weeks. Is that where they start looking for someone else?
we're up front with them, and then we listen to them. If they say no, I got to have this because I got a party or whatever in a month or something, and then we'll see if we can move it around. We don't want to lose the work if we can help it. And then sometimes also that's when we'll call our subs in and say, hey, you know what, we can get it in. We'll have one of our guys managing it, and then we have 2 really, really good subs. That
Are they often firemen or former firemen? Some of them.
Well, there was a lot of good firemen, painters, but I don't have any of them working for me. No firemen. I have a fireman that's an estimator, one of my estimators. Yeah. But, the problem with the fire department is they work one day on and then they're off 2 days. So they would come in and work for 2 days, but they would get called in for overtime, and that they make a lot more money working overtime at the firehouse than they do working for me, either estimating or painting. So it's so hard. It's hard enough running your schedule when when people are going to be there, but then to have that, that wild card coming in at the last minute and taking a guy away, it just was too hectic. So
What kind of weight are you on now?
Right now, not that far. We're probably a couple weeks out only, and we're going to start outside. I would say the middle of April, so we're a couple weeks out, maybe 2-3 weeks. 15th is usually when we kind of predict that we'll be outside. And it used to be Halloween, we'd go back in. Now, all the way almost to Thanksgiving.
Isn't
we're
that
outside.
weird?
It just kind
It
of like
seems like-
everything turned like a month, like the dials just turned.
I went to Florida and we had 4 days of cold and rainy, gray weather.
Oh,
They've
just
never
recently
had
you
it.
went
Yeah,
there?
This
Oh,
last
okay.
week.
Okay.
And one of the locals is like, yeah, it's kind of weird. This used to always really be nice, but now you could be sitting here in November and it's
Yeah.
85 degrees.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of shifted later. But you're getting ready, and now's the time.
Yeah.
Hey, now you have somebody on the line for Ricardo, and I'm not so sure this is
Yeah.
one of your people, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, all right. 219-845-1100. Hey, you're on the air. How's it going?
It's going pretty good.
Well, you're on with Ricardo. You want to talk to us?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The question I had is, when's the best time to paint a vinyl-sided house?
I know the answer to this. but
Okay, go ahead. No, you go ahead. You've been listening to me long
it's
enough.
in the
yeah.
fall, right?
Well, vinyl stretches, out with the climate, and so you don't want to paint vinyl siding when it's, I would say less than 70 degrees out. I think about 70, 75, it stretches out enough. Or, when it gets 80, then it really stretches out naturally. But you don't want to paint it when it's, cold because it's condensed in. And then once it warms up, it stretches out, and you'll see the stuff underneath the lap siding that you couldn't see when you painted it. So you end up with these lines that are unpainted on the vinyl. So you want to wait till it's stretched out, and then you can paint the whole house. And then
Is
when
it ever too hot to paint vinyl?
well, yeah, well, not only vinyl, but if it's directly in the sun, you try to stay away from that side and maybe get to that part in the morning. So there's a little strategy to it. Vinyl's probably the trickiest of, all the sidings to paint because of the way it moves, and that's why they hang it. The last gentleman that was here would have been really good to tell you because that's what he does, but. We just hang it. They just hang it on there, and so because it gives it an opportunity to stretch because it moves so much, it would start warping if they tightened it up too much. So that holds true with painting also.
What color is your existing vinyl?
Right now, it's like a light gray color.
It's a light gray color. What color do you want to paint it?
I'm really not sure on the color. We're still trying to go through the selection process and kind of figure that out.
The reason I say
I was
that,
just wanting to know when the best time to try to get it painted.
so we were talking about the temperature changes. It's warmer later, and that's why I said maybe later in the summer.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at a May warming trend
Yep.
for a number of weeks, that
Yep.
would be what I would suggest. I do know that one of my relatives painted in the winter and then wound up with lines on his house.
Yep.
He's a union guy, and they were out, so he went out and painted it himself, and he had to actually go back and paint the whole
all
thing,
the lines, yeah,
all the
yeah,
lines
yeah,
in again.
yeah.
So just from looking at it from the outside, that's the one thing you got to worry about. It's still being cold, and we can get cold days in May, and that's not a good thing. The other thing is, and this is just from having been a laborer and doing my own stuff, is that do you want to like if he's light gray, does he want to go with a dark brown? I mean, you try to get somewhat close to it, right?
Well, we can help out with colors. The vinyl at one time, it really was the paints at one time didn't have the same stretchability, elasticity as the vinyl siding. But that's changed now. The paint companies have figured out that most of that that was in the tint. The tint wasn't stretching, and so it created it would absorb too much heat. Like if it was lighter and you went darker, the siding would warp. There was a lot of people that messed their siding up.
Yes, exactly. And I guess
Yeah,
that's
but that doesn't happen anymore. Like they got it figured out where that they can you can change the color. I wouldn't go black on it if it was white, but you can get pretty extreme. with the
How
changes.
old's the siding?
I'd say probably 20 years.
Is it how big are the slats in between the creases? Is that a 6-inch, 4-inch? What?
The exposed part.
Yeah,
I want to say 4.
You want to say 4?
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah, I believe they're 4.
Yeah, so I would wait. You can get us out there. Right now's the time to get us out there. We got some really good discounts going on. We can give you a quote, and then if you schedule with us, we give an additional discount, and then you can do the house whenever it fits your schedule. But I would wait until probably middle of May on, depending on if we get a real warm spring or not. I would, and then we're kind of careful too. If it gets too hot, it would stay off the house until it was a reasonable temperature that we could paint in. Yep.
cool. All right, man. Any other questions?
Okay.
All right, man.
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right,
you
thank
know,
you. Have a good
I'm
day.
glad he called in because we're talking about exterior painting, and I've painted. When I was in Griffith, I had the 6-inch exposed,
Yeah.
and I messed that up and
Yeah.
didn't understand. At least he's listening to us and
Yeah.
I mean, I just painted it on a really hot day, and
Yeah.
some of it actually ran.
Yeah.
And you're winding up with those little. I mean, it was like a 95, and
Yeah.
I was home, and I'm like, I'm painting my garage, and I nearly ruined it,
Yeah.
and had to do a second layer. But let's take some more phone calls. 219-845-1100. Ricardo is on with Calumet Painting and Restoration. Hey, you're on the air.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. What's
Good.
up?
Well, during the COVID, that was a whole different situation. But because now the cost of living goes up and prices go up and down and stuff. Like, say for example, if you give a person an estimate to paint the house, like say May 1st, but you don't start until June. You give them an estimate. Does this stay at that price, or do you have to say, well, the price has got to go up because the price of paint? Because I look at what a cost of a gallon of paint costs nowadays, what I bought back many years ago.
Yeah.
How do you adapt to the changes of the cost?
Well, fortunately, in the painting industry, the material cost is the smallest part of the job. Like if you're talking to a siding guy or, some other trade.
Soffits.
The percentage of material cost is a lot more than that. A typical painting contractor's material cost is going to be, I can tell you historically, if you put everything, all the material, the tape, plastic, and all the other stuff, it typically is never over 13% of the job. A lot of times it's only 8% of the job. So we can absorb that, and typically that is one of the reasons you want to get a painting contractor out there. And if you get, I shouldn't say everybody, but I know our company, what we do is when we go out there and we set an appointment with you, if you decide to schedule with us and we get a deposit down from you, we put you in our books, that price won't change if it's, any time this year. Like, so if you scheduled in May with us and you want to do the job in September, we all honor that price all the way through till September.
Yeah, that's about the only thing I want to ask about that, because I was just curious because, all these places, construction people and everything, lumber goes up and down, cost goes up and down. I was just wondering how you guys do okay with that.
Yeah, and I think it's just the fact that, and we do, we do our fair amount of repairs, and we've got a whole crew that does nothing but repairs, and so I know exactly what you're talking about. It's a little bit different on that end of it, especially like when we're doing cedar siding and stuff like that. That has ballooned up like crazy, and so you have to be real careful about that. So a little bit different on that end of it, but on the painting side, I can tell you for sure that whatever that difference amount would be, the change of it's just part of the deal. We just kind of absorb that part.
And call Mike. One of the things you got to consider too is that if you're a painting contractor, you're buying in such large bulk. It's not like you and me walking into Home Depot and saying, "Hey, I want to get some deck paint," and they go, "Yeah, that'll be $100 for that gallon." I mean, they're buying, so many of those gallons and 5-gallon buckets and so forth, it probably can absorb it a lot better than you and I can on the retail level.
Yep.
All right, man. Good question. Thank you. 219-845-1100. Ricardo Suarez here from Calumet Painting and Restoration. And we are being told by the 22-year-old person that tells us all. But I know that you got a couple more things you want to tell people.
Well, I just wanted to let everybody know that we are offering some great discounts. We're going to be at a home show out in Oak Lawn at the Oak Lawn Recreation Center, I believe it is, on 159th, I believe. But you can look it up, Oak Lawn Home Show. And if you see us there, if you go there, we'll and you get us out to do an estimate, we'll give you our 10% discount that we're giving out now. We'll give you an additional 5%. We're going to give you a coupon if you show up and visit us at our booth there. And then there we're going to be more on the painting side. We do also the Serenity Bath, so we also do install one-day baths. So we won't have any displays out there for that on this particular show, but we'll have all of our painting and all of the colors and all this stuff that we can talk about, whatever your issue is. Or if you just want to stop by and ask some questions, we can give you some painting. A lot of people just go over there and ask us some problem that they have painting because they want to do it themselves, and we offer that free because we figure that people start it, then they kind of give up on it and they call us in anyway. So it's just one of those things, just one of the services that we provide. So yeah, meet us out there, and we'd be happy to give you an additional discount. Now's the time to call our office to get us out there to get an estimate from us. It's 219-844-7501.
There it is. He's part of the Community Programming Initiative. If you or your company want to do a podcast and record it live on WJOB and on YouTube, get a hold of Adriana. That's 2 N's at WJOB1230.com. Thanks a lot.
Oh, thanks a lot. One more thing. Can I throw one more thing out? I talked to you went to Florida, and Steve was waiting for you in Arizona. But he said he still got the song for you. He was going to send you a song. I don't know if he sent it here yet, but he's going to send you a song.